This episode was filmed in November 2023 and is actually episode 7. Hope you enjoy. Hello, dear friends, and welcome to episode 6 of the Found Humanity podcast. In this episode, filmed in Pacific Beach, California, I sat down with an incredibly open, courageous, and gentle soul named Patrick. I met Patrick while walking the beach looking for a smashball partner on a Wednesday afternoon. I invited him to play, we rallied and talked for about 30 minutes, and I was absolutely intrigued by the life circumstances that brought him out to Pacific Beach that week. As he courageously shares in this podcast for the first time ever, Patrick had just ended his nearly 30-year marriage and was exploring his sexuality and his gender identity. In the 40-minute conversation, Patrick shares about his journey of conforming to a straight lifestyle, the role of shame, religion, and other forces that influenced his life trajectory, his experiences of encountering homophobia in his personal life, the importance of finding safe people in his life, and how to cultivate love for humanity regardless of outward identity. This conversation was truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me, and I'm so grateful to have met Patrick in this stage of his journey. His courage to let go of years of shame in exchange for a more authentic life was truly inspiring and is something that I believe has the potential to teach us all about what it means to be a human being. So without further ado, here's Patrick from Pacific Beach. What's up, guys? I'm here with my friend Pat, and we just played an awesome game of smashball. He's super talented. If you ever meet Pat, play some smashball with him on the beach. And we just met about 45 minutes ago. So Pat, would you introduce yourself? Who are you? Whatever you want anyone to know about you.
I am Patrick. I am from St. Louis, Missouri, and I am 47 years old.
Awesome. And Patrick, first of all, what brought you out to San Diego?
I needed to get away and rediscover myself and my new self.
Wonderful. And how's that been?
It's been awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah. Being myself and not being truthful to myself and not lying about myself has been awesome. And being honest with my sexuality and my gender has been liberating and the most freeing thing I have done in my 47 years.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And why now? What happened?
So I went through a divorce, and through the divorce and the misery, I just started soul searching and realizing why I was miserable, and it wasn't all my spouse's fault. It was my happiness wasn't based on just a marriage. And once I was honest with that and honest with myself, I started realizing that I've been hiding my gender fluidity and my sexual attractions for 30-something plus years now.
And when did you first, you'd mentioned, we chatted before this, when did you first notice I feel different than my peers who are straight? When did you first notice that?
First noticed that back in middle school. Maybe even before middle school, but I guess really the first memory is middle school, where I liked being more with the girls than with the guys, but I had to hide it. And so there would always be friends that had sisters, or even when we got to high school, friends that had girlfriends that I would like to hang out with more. And I don't think I really realized that because I wasn't really trying to be with them. I was trying to be a part of them, like one of the girls. And always had to hide that though. And when I look back, I realized that was one of the things that was different about me. Besides what I would like to wear, but my parents would always tell me not to do that, so I always ended up playing sports and trying to be as basically butch as possible.
Wow. How was that? How did you think about that often? You were hiding something from the world?
Yes, but then I went down the path of drugs and alcohol, and so once I tried to come out, and my mom was more like, no, don't rush anything, take your time, and it was more frowned upon. I started doing stuff on the down low, with some friends who were keeping it a secret, and then just started doing drugs and alcohol to kind of hide it. And so for a good 2-3 years at the end of high school and beginning of college, that's all I did was drink, and then went down paths of drugs, but luckily I wasn't I was smart enough not to go all the way down because I would see what the bad was, so I just turn around and go back to alcohol for a while. And then I did fall in love with her, and that's where I know that, you know, love and attraction isn't always just to one gender. And we had a great kid, and we had a great first half of the marriage, and a great first half of our life. But then the second half just kind of went to crap. And as I realized, I realized I was hiding it too, that I wasn't being honest. And if I couldn't tell her, who could I tell? And so once I was able to be honest with myself, first person I told was her. And for the most part, she was not surprised. And for the most part, she was supportive.
How was that? Like, were you surprised by that? I mean, like, yeah, what was that like to be supported mostly?
Supported was great. The funny part was that a lot of her friends and even her mom were like, I knew it. Like, looking back on it, apparently her mom said before the wedding, are you sure you want to marry a gay man? And she was like, he's not gay, trust me. And she was like, he is gay, and if he ever cheats on you, it'll be with a man. And I never did, but she had a point. If I ever would have cheated on her, it would have been with a man, because that's as close as I ever came, because somehow I logically made that okay. Like, oh, it's not a woman, so she can't offer me the same thing, so I'll do it with a man. But I never did. But she was right. If I would have ever cheated on her, it would have been with a man. And that blew my mind when her mom said that, because her mom's a fucking nut.
And you learned that towards the end of your relationship?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then her best friends were like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Her two best friends were like, yeah, that's not surprising. So, I guess some people knew, you know, when you're being on it, you know, they could see. And that was kind of liberating and scary. Like, I was kind of like, what the fuck? Then I was like, wait, that's who I am, so why does it matter?
Huh.
You know, and so I stopped worrying about that. But that was an initial shock. I was like, what do you mean you're not surprised? Like, how can you not be surprised? And they're like, I'm not surprised. What do you mean I'm not surprised?
Yeah.
They're like, that makes sense. But I'm like, shit. But they were all like, they're happy. And the support I got from them, at least to me outward, was that they were happy that we could be happy, that I could finally be happy. And so that was nice. That was nice. And to get the support even from like strangers and stuff about, you know, just being me, that is incredible. Mm. And the pickleball league.
Yes. Oh, cool.
The pickleball league that we play in is a gay pickleball league.
How cool.
And that was like one of the first things, is I'm not a drinker. So I don't like to go to bars and clubs. So I'm like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do as a gay guy? Almost every gay guy out there goes drinking and clubbing.
Yeah.
And I found this thing that's called Team St. Louis, and they do athletic stuff. And one of them is pickleball. So I can just go play pickleball with a bunch of guys and be myself. And so that's how I started to just kind of get used to it. And then so the next step is going out to a gay takeover gathering where they go to, apparently these guys do like 30 or 40 gay guys, and they go fucking take over a place. You know, as they say, yeah, this is what the straight people are scared of. So they'll go to like a normally straight restaurant and rent it out, you know, for a happy hour and stuff.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so that's how I've started meeting people and trying to be who I am. But on the flip side, it's still hard with everyone from the past and everyone from the current.
Yes, I bet.
And so I haven't fully told everyone, but then I don't feel like I need to announce it. Like, if they're paying attention, they'll figure it out.
Yep.
I haven't done the Facebook announcement or the Instagram announcement, like, hey everyone, I'm gay. But if anyone's really paying attention to me, they know now. Like, if you haven't paid attention, well, then you're not my friend. And so that's what I don't care. So I play in like a soccer league with a bunch of straight guys and have for years as one of my outlets. And now I'm kind of like, well, what the fuck's going to happen? Some of these guys are some of the most homophobic people in the world. And like, some of them are very religious and make comments. You know, like with my long hair, before the fingernail polish, they were like, what, you might as well be a girl, Pat? Or, hey, you know, they made these off comments and they're very religious, so I know what they mean. And so I'm still waiting to see any fallback or feedback from that. But I don't care anymore. So I was scared. I actually wouldn't wear the fingernail polish for a couple of the times I went to their games. And then before I came out here, I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to wear it. No one said anything. But I know a couple of them were looking at me. But I was the happiest I've ever been.
Come on.
You know, I wasn't yelling at people anymore. I wasn't yelling at the ref anymore, so it was great. So yeah, just finally being honest, huge weight off my shoulder.
I'm so excited for you. That's incredible, man.
Thank you.
Seriously, amazing. And I say man out of habit because you strike me as a man, but is your gender identity something you're exploring too?
Yes, and I don't know anything about all that.
Cool.
So like I know I'm a guy.
Yeah.
Like I know I was born a guy. You know, I get that. And I don't know because I've never been through all that. So I know what I feel. I know what society feels. So I think that for some reason, unfortunately, is going to hold me back a little bit. And just being me. And shit, that's a tough one, man. Yeah. Because I don't even know how to act to others anymore. Because I know the whole, are you a guy or you're a girl? Like I said, I appreciate you asking. Like, I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and society has ruined it. And that even makes it harder. So it's hard enough in society to be gay, especially in the Midwest and St. Louis, to be unsure of your gender is even worse. Like, some people can accept the gay out there, in the middle of the Missouri. Not everyone can accept the gender part, and that's even harder. Luckily, that pickleball, there are a lot of people that are in that situation, and there's a lot of drag queens, and unknowingly, those were the ones that I gravitated to and became friends with to start. And then as I started to get to know them, I'm like, wait, that's you? And you're like, yeah, no, that's me. I'm hosting that night at, Rehab or Prism. I'm like, wait, no, that's you? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, come on out. And I'm like, so I feel so much better. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I know I'm a boy. I know I was born a man. But I also know what I like. And so I don't think because you dress one way or you wear fingernail polish that makes you a girl. I think it just makes you unique. So if I happen to wear women's clothes at times or wear fingernail polish or something like that or grow my hair long, it's just me. It doesn't mean that I really am going to change to a girl. I'm just going to be me though. And if I'm attracted to men, that's just going to be me. And hopefully I can find someone who accepts just me. Because I have no idea really who that is still, because I've only been out not even a full 3 months. So not everyone knows. More people will know now.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. One thing you had mentioned was shame. What role did shame play in your identity and repression and all that?
God, everything. I lived in shame. So even before I was married, and I think, God, that's going to be tough if she ever hears it. I think some of the marriage was because of shame. Because I was ashamed of who I was. And so the best way in the Midwest to mask it is to be married and to have a kid. Secure my masculinity, I had a kid. What else do you want me to do? And I think a lot of that was out of shame. Now, my son is great, and he has helped me through a lot of this, more so than anyone. And so I don't regret any of that part of it. But yeah, shame from my parents, from my church, from my friends, from the school, from society, literally just kept me from doing anything. And then you would do stuff on the down low, and people on the down low are doing the same thing. They don't want to be open, so some of the friends that I'm with, that we did, no one knew in high school. Like, I'm not going to out them now, but I did stuff with people, and some would be surprised and some wouldn't. And it's like, but they did it on the download, and so then I felt more shameful. And every time I would do something on the down low, it led to worse shame. So there was that immediate sexual gratification, but then it just went to darkness right away. And so that's one thing where I haven't done is do that. So I've been exploring, Grindr and all that, but I can't bring myself to do it because to me it brings me back to my shame. And so I got to get over that. And it's still haunting me today because, I just don't want to hook up because I don't want to just be sexual anymore because that led to a lot of my shame. I would do a lot of stuff shamefully, do stuff on the internet shamefully. And then hope no one would find out. And then now, I don't care, and now I don't want to do it. Now I'm not looking to do that stuff. I'm like, why? It's like, I don't know. Part of it was shame. It was always shame. You know, shame for the way I dressed, shame for the way I acted. And now I have no shame. And like, I used to like, I would have never looked at you in the face when you walked by. Before, I would always just like look down at everyone because I don't think I wanted people to see me. And now I like make sure to look everyone in the face that I walk by or I say hello to and stuff. And like even the people at the hotel, like I'll look you in the eye. And before I would always go like this, you know, like do the fake look into the eye. But I was never looking eye to eye to anyone because I was ashamed. So yeah, shame is horrible, and it ruined my stomach. So I have Crohn's, and I know some of that is not because of all this, but I think the shame and the stress of hiding who I was led to internal problems with my body and stuff. And now that I have been more honest, like the pains have gone away. Like I still have the disease, but the symptoms are going away. And so I can live a better life too. You know, health as well, and mental.
I just want to share as well from my end of things. Like I've dealt with shame in my life, mostly due to porn use and exposure at a very young age to that, and dealing with that through my life. Do you resonate with that?
Yeah, that's why I really don't talk to my dad anymore, because my dad sadly was just a pervert, had a huge porn stash. So yeah, at a very young age I was not only exposed to it, but he had another kid with another family, so I had half brother. And a lot of times we would shuttle him back and forth. He would stop at stores and leave me in the car. So I would sit in the car while he went into porn shops and was in there for a half hour, or even longer, while I would sit there and listen to the radio or whatever. And then not only was I exposed to that, saw all that, when we got into junior high, part of the shame, one of my friends found it. And then so of course in the Catholic school where there was like only 50 kids, by the end of the day the whole school knew. And then the whole school was trying to come over after school when parents weren't home to go watch porn and stuff. And so then other kids were being exposed to this at a young age, partly because of my fault, but really because of my dad's fault. And not be able to stop it, but what am I going to do at that age? And so then they became not physically sexually aggressive, but like verbally sexually aggressive, with like taunts and like just making fun. So yeah, I had lots of shame. And then that led into later life, especially as marriage, utilizing porn as an outlet.
Yeah.
And really ruining for a long time relationships and real life sex, because porn is addictive.
Yeah.
It's just as addictive as any drug or cigarettes.
Totally agree. I don't think I realized how addicted I was and how much of like you're saying, it's a real substance. It's not a physical substance, but you can hide it very easily.
Yep.
It's mentally addictive.
Oh, yeah. It's ridiculous, mentally addictive. Like where I would go, I'd feel wrong if I hadn't seen it or, done something in a long time, looked at it. I'm like, what, yeah. And then once I stopped, that too was liberating, to not depend on it. Like, 'cause I've smoked cigarettes, I've drank, and I've stopped both of those, and I depended on that more than those, as what I thought was stress relief, what I thought was good, and it was really bad. Like, that ruined a lot too.
What caused you to want to stop not just porn, but all those addictive habits? You're off drinking, you're off cigarettes.
So the drinking and smoking was for the kid, mostly, and just because that was just health. The rest was coming out and being honest with myself. Once I was finally honest with who I was, I didn't crave any of that. Like, and I'd like I was mentioning, I didn't want to go on the down low. I didn't want to go on the internet. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'm not craving that anymore. It was like almost like an automatic off switch. I'm like, this is weird. Like, it felt really weird. I'm like, no, I don't want to go do that. And then, I'm like, oh, okay, well then I'm going to go on Grindr. I'm like, no, I don't want to go do that. And I was like, shit, porn led to a lot of down low stuff. Like, porn from my dad led to the down low stuff when I was younger. And then porn when I got older led to possibilities of down low stuff physically. But I don't know how you call it, but you can cheat without physically cheating. And I pretty much did that with porn.
Yeah. That's how it goes. I mean, it's like an addictive thing. And it becomes a reliance thing for me. I was reliant on it to emotionally regulate like myself throughout the day. If I felt bored or upset, or stressed, anything, like it would be just an easy reset for me. And I follow this dude, Connor Beaton. He's talking a lot about porn use and getting off porn, and as a lot of men are these days, but like it's so hard. And what would you say to someone who is in a cyclical pattern of addiction, whether it's to porn or any type of substance? Like, what would you want a young person to know who's feeling shame and in that cycle?
It's okay to be you, and don't let what others think drive who you are. It's not worth it. I'm so new to this, so I don't have the right words, but be you. Don't try to be who everyone else wants you to be, and don't be afraid of who you are, because you'll never be happier than you will be if you just be you. And addictions, they just hurt. They'll end up just hurting you. They'll end up hurting your loved ones, even if you don't like your loved ones because they don't like who you are. They just hurt. They really do. They just suck. And the one thing I would do is I would encourage people to talk. So like this right here is therapeutic. Just having someone to talk to, even being someone I just met, is extremely therapeutic. And if you have the means, do therapy. My therapist has done me wonders. Just being able a safe space to be honest. So not everyone is as good as you, Chris, where you can be safe and not feel threatened at all about anything I say. You got to find those things. You got to find those people in those safe places to talk. That would be my biggest, now looking back on it, that'd be my biggest word of encouragement, is to discuss it with someone. Find a friend or a therapist or anybody who will allow you to say and be whoever you are and not judge you. If I could have had that when I was younger, I would have come out a long time ago. Yeah, that's the biggest thing, is find someone you can trust.
Wow. That is so good, and I've felt the same in my life. Shout out to Rob for being that person for me. You're the man.
Shout out to Kat for my therapist. You're the person right now.
It's just so true. Like, I think we become freer when we have a person that we can be open with. I agree.
Yep. And then so shout out to Joe if you do see this. So there's one guy who I haven't come out to, but he's been there. He's been through divorce. He knows what I'm going through, and he answers everything. Anytime I text or say, something's the way, you all right? You okay? And I'm 99% sure he knows that he's just not asking because it's not his business to ask. So that has been helpful. So I haven't been fully honest with him, but I will be. And so you also got to build the trust with some of these older friends, the ones that have been around for a while, who've never shown me shame. They're not the reason why I'm shamed, but for you that are coming out, that is the hardest part, is the ones from the past. Future ones, who cares?
Yeah. I feel so much freedom in you as you look into the future and as you talk about the future, and that's really exciting to me. I'm excited for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I am excited too. This is a brand new start, and that's why I came out here, is for 3 days basically to reset, restart, and basically when I go back, I haven't been living in shame for the last 2 months, but I'm not going to hide it at all. There's going to be no hiding at all. I've been kind of careful, and I'm just not going to be careful. I'm just going to be me, and I've been doing that all the time out here, and so that's what I'm just going to keep doing.
I'd like to talk about the courage it takes to ask these really big questions about who you are. For me, my journey was deconstructing my faith as a Christian, as maybe you've gone through too. It sounds like you grew up religious.
Yep.
And that is, for many people, a private process a shameful process, because we're not allowed to ask questions about our faith and who God is the Bible, if you're Christian, is this the truth? that will get you ostracized implicitly or explicitly from your community and your family, and you'll be rejected and shamed. And a lot of it has to just do with programming, and programming's a dehumanizing word. I think it's just our identity is shaped around these things. And for you, going through this process of questioning your identity, what was the question in that? I guess, have you experienced some of that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? How so?
Yeah, so that was part of the big shame and the toughness of growing up, because I went to a Catholic school in grade school and in high school. And like you said, it was always shameful. You'd be ostracized. That was not right. That wasn't God's intentions. And I don't know if, program is dehumanizing, kind of grooming, that, you weren't supposed to do that. Kind of what my mom said when I was younger. Don't rush anything, she was more worried about the impact of society and what, the church would think and what the neighbors would think and stuff. And
meaning coming out and sharing your, at least exploring or committing to one alternate sexuality.
Even like mentioning that you might be gay was like shameful. And going to a Catholic school where you had to go to Catholic Bible school, like you had classes about the Bible, and it would say, the teachers would put in there, you can't be with a man, that's a sin, you're going to go to hell, and that's not what God intended. And so while growing up and believing that God is all powerful and everything, you're like, oh, well, I can't do that because he's going to send me to hell. And so you kind of get programmed at a young age, especially pre-junior high and junior high. Well, I can't do that. Priest said I'm going to go to hell. God's going to go to hell. When I kind of got away from it was in college when I studied other religions. So part of my freedom from at least the religious part was I started studying other religions, and I realized how alike all religions were at the basic concept. So I studied Muslims, I studied Buddhist, I studied Jewish, and I took like 4 or 5 classes. I almost had a minor in religious studies in college because I just was engrossed in learning more about religions. So I'm like, wait, I need to know more about other religions, just the one I was born into. And that's where I kind of found it odd that depending on where you lived or where you were born, pretty much shaped what God or religion you believed in. And so I started questioning, how is there one all God? Like, if they believe in a different God and I believe in a different God, who's right? And how can one person be right? What makes them more right than me? And that's when I actually was like, I just need to be good. I'm like, I found evil in religion. To me, there was evil in religion, and not at the basic principles, and those that deliver it, and those that are like in charge of it, that want to shape everyone into a Christian or everyone into a Muslim or a Mormon, instead of just everyone into a good person. And once I realized all the religions are stealing from each other, the Bible, the Quran, they all have similarities. They've all been kind of stolen, at the basic root of it, the skeleton. And then they're just shaped by humans. So why base my life on what humans want me to believe, especially evil ones? I mean, the Vatican has billions of dollars. Our Christianity that we grew up in has billions of dollars at the Vatican hoarding, and is not helping poor people. So why don't we help the poor people? I thought that's what Jesus wanted. And that's where I get confused when religion is weaponized to make us not human, weaponized to make us hate. Like when we were talking before this, I have friends that play soccer that are very religious, and they say some of the most homophobic things in the world. And to me, that's not what it's about. Religion is supposed to be about love. The actual teachings are supposed to be about love. And so I guess I take those teachings as a youngster and just try to be good. Like, I always laugh. I'm like, Jesus would have loved gays. He would have loved trans. And I can even think there's a story about him liking, somebody that was like that. But today's world, they don't use it like that. It's all about hate, and how to get you to control people. So, yeah, it's horrible. And it made my life in the Midwest a living hell for grade school and high school because of those teachings, and because they tried to force them on you.
I want to give you kudos for how you show up with your soccer team in particular, or anyone. I'm sure you've experienced it beyond them, because I don't think people realize, like, I come from a conservative upbringing and I'm a hybrid of, I'm somewhere in the middle, but my point in this is that I don't think people realize, especially conservatives, realize what it would be like to have an identity that you have to conceal all the time, and hear comments about your identity and not express that. Like, for example, imagine your political ideology, which you can be open about, is being confronted or dissed in a public environment. You're able to speak up and say something, whereas in your life, like, that would be a consequential thing for you.
Yes.
And that takes courage and love within your heart to even show up to your soccer team and continue showing up, because you don't have the liberty to speak out of who you are or who you know yourself to be.
Yep. Yeah, and they made comments even before I was honest with myself, when I started growing my hair out, oh, what are you, a girl? Or, oh, what if you were gay, or making just these homophobic or just kind of offbeat insults that guys make to guys still in the Midwest. And then, one of the thoughts I was thinking was like, what if I was? Like, you're saying this shit, you don't even know if I am. And I almost wanted to say that I am, but still to this day, I still have to be kind of careful because of that backlash, and because really I'm outnumbered. While I go to pickleball and everyone's the same, there I may or may not be the only gay guy on the team or in the league. And so I've actually contemplated skipping games because of my fingernail polish, or because just not being happy, because I've noticed that I wasn't happy. But then the last time I did go, I said, F it. I kept the fingernail polish on. I didn't care what anyone thought. And I was happy. And I was smiling the whole time and didn't get in a fight, didn't argue with anyone. I just enjoyed it. And it was right before I came out here, and I realized I'm happy when I'm me. And then all these bugs.
We're getting swarmed by beach flies.
But yeah, I've realized that was kind of a trying moment, because people had noticed that I don't smile, where I wasn't smiling in pictures, or quote unquote resting bitch face. And I noticed in that last game when I was there, just being me, I didn't say I was out or anything like that, but I was just being me, and I was just the happiest I've ever been. It's like, hey, this is great, man. And so that's kind of where you've seen it now, where since then I'm just like, fuck it, I'm just going to be me. I don't care. It doesn't matter if you're from my past or the future. I'm just going to be who I am.
The three core values of my work are curiosity, compassion, and clarity. I think curiosity and compassion are how we are to engage with the world, and then we get clarity from when we do those things. What would you say to someone who holds biases, which we all do? It's not like a one side or the other thing. I see it on both sides, and we both hold such deep biases and ways of judging other people, whether it's for their ideology or their beliefs or their identity, whatever that is. What would you say to someone who really would not see you as fully human, or see that you as invalid, or not going to heaven is the religious viewpoint? What would you, how would you want that person to know more about their own curiosity or compassion? What do you think they would need to be able to open up and have more love in their heart, or acceptance? Maybe not love. Yeah, because we all have love.
Yeah. If we had the easy answer, life would be so much better and the world would be so much better. I'd say, to some of those that really hates like that, you have to imagine if your kid was what you hated. And if you can't find empathy in that, then it's not worth it. Then you're just a bad person in my mind. If you're the one that would say, hey, if my kid was gay or my kid was transgender, I would disown him or I'd never talk to him. I don't know if there's any hope for that person. And that's the only thing I can kind of think of, is because they're never going to feel for themselves. Say, hey, well, what if you were that? Or how would you feel that way? They're never going to feel that. Or what if you were ostracized? And then they feel anger if they're ostracized because of their religious beliefs. Well, how dare you say my God's not real? you could kind of relate it to that way. It's like, okay, well, if I ostracize you because of your beliefs, why are you ostracizing me for being who I am? It's tough because I haven't found that, but it's trying to find some relating points. Most of them, it's the kid. The hardest ones are when their kid or their cousin or their nephew, and they have to, like, they're almost forced upon them. Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. I would say that's probably the one is like, if your son or your daughter was that, how would you feel? And then what does it matter? Now, I know it could matter if it was your son or daughter because they're your family, but what's the matter what I am? How am I impacting your beliefs? How is me being me affecting you? And it really isn't. And on the flip side, though, with me coming out, I had to get over that hump too.
Yeah.
How does their feeling affect me? And for the longest time, it affected me, and it shouldn't. And now I don't care. I don't care if this guy jogging by hates gays. I don't care. Yesterday, when I went to one of the places here, the guy carded me. I'm 47 years old. I didn't even order a drink. I was just walking to a table. So, I need to see your ID. To me, it was clear why he was carding me. Because of who I am. Because I had this on. I had a rainbow bandana on. The food and the waitress were great. But to me, and I stayed. I was like, fuck this. I'm staying. I'm eating. And the waitress was great. But the guy, like, clearly carded me and was kind of an asshole to me because of who I was. But I was like, fuck it. I don't care. The old me would have just ran away. He would have just walked out the door and said, fuck you. The new me ate there, loved it, tipped the waitress real good, and then wrote a review saying that the bartender's an asshole. But, just to let him know, too, that, hey, that has an impact. Like, he carded me. I know I look young, don't look 47, but I don't look 21. And then I know 6 people behind me, after I sat down and watched them, all walked in, didn't get carded, and they all were clearly younger than me. So I was like, okay, So that's, like, those little things impact, But as someone now who's got the clarity and the freedom, that didn't bother me. I mean, it bothered me, but it didn't stop me. And it didn't prevent me from being who I was. I'm like, screw it, I'm gay, and I'm going to sit here, even if you like it or not, and I'm going to fucking order you food. And the waitress was fine. She didn't have a problem at all. So, that's the same thing. On the flip side, where I was like that, I hid my life because I worried about what others thought. And like I mentioned to you, where I did ever look at people in the eye. And now I do look people in the eye because I'm not ashamed.
That makes me so hopeful for this world, man. I hope you know that. That, to me, is like, if there is a collective healing in the world that's possible, like, that is a step in that direction. Like, your freedom in your own courage and security in who you are is inspiring, and I hope it touches people from all walks of life in their own insecurity, regardless of what it stems from, whether it's their sexuality or religious trauma or whatever the fuck it is. Like, I hope it all brings us to a more free place. Thank you for sharing that.
And thank you for stopping. So you just being who you were and being nice and cordial is probably going to be the highlight of the trip. And it's going to make me kind of like a springboard forward. Knowing, hey, there are good people in this world. And talk to the people. So this is going to be huge for me too. So
thanks for telling me that, Pat.
It's going to make a huge difference. So I appreciate that.
Hey, what do you think unites us as humans?
I don't know if it's love, because I think I want to say it's love, but I've just been hurt, so saying love is a strong word. But compassion, it's all kind of, I think, is all under the same umbrella. Love, compassion, empathy. Without that kind of trio, really kind of what you were saying too with clarity, we don't have it. So, like, growing, like you said, we all kind of have our biases. Like, I grew up with racist parents. I grew up with racist family, and so it took me a while to just accept different cultures. which also impacted me as well. But like, I wasn't racist. My parents were. You know, I learned from them. I'm like, why do I care? Like, no, like just because my parents have those stereotypes about people, it's not true. And once I let those walls down, I was able to be around other cultures and love them. You know, and I think so. You got to have empathy, but you got to have compassion and clarity. So it's not just one thing. But I think all that falls under love. And so I don't think I have to be in love with someone. I think we can all love each other. So I think it's just a general love, not like, hey, I love you. Just like a general love for the world, for a person, for humans. You know, black, white, brown, gay, girl, bi, whatever. Like, just like the people. And if they're good people, what's the matter what they are? You know? If they're an asshole, they're an asshole. A gay guy can be an asshole, a straight person can be an asshole. And it is those trucks that kick them up.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. Assholes are assholes. It doesn't matter who you are. You know, and so, yeah, we see less assholes in the world too.
Yes, guys, you heard it here first. We need less assholes in the world. Well, Pat, this was incredible. Thank you so much for your honesty and inspiring me to be more open and just, I really appreciate it.
Me too. I appreciate it too. God damn, thank you, man. I can be more open too. I love this.
All right. Bye, everyone.